I'm at an age now where I want a tattoo. All my life I've seen my friends and family ink their skin with memories and parts of their personality. I've never really taken the time to sit down with them and discuss why though. The world is so temporary nowadays. Photos, music and memories all go within a flash of an eye. So what does it mean to get something permanently inked on your skin? What better place to start my journey than at home? Tattoos have sort of run in my family. My dad has a half sleeve with mine and my brother's name on it, as well as a tattoo of the old Arsenal crest, an expression for his love for football as well as his love for his family. My granddad, Ken, well, his tattoo was a bit of a weird teenage dare. Whereas my other granddad, Peter, he got a tattoo from his time in the Navy, a culture that I know is integral to tattooing. I went to his house to find out more about what it means to him.
Mum's given me a, what's it called, the Navy book thing that you had, the Navy and Army thing that you had. Do you want to go through first?
This is my Merchant Navy discharge book, certificates of discharge.
So what does that mean? Is that when you leave?
That's the different ships. That was my number at sea school, yeah, and the dates and when.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Picture of you?
Can't you recognise me then?
No, I can't at all. You got hair for starters.
What? Yeah, good looking though, weren't I? And that's my discharge book with the different ships, yeah?
How many ships were you on?
One, well, I did 2 on there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there should be 1 on there, 7.
What ship was it that you were on when you got your tattoo?
The Oronte.
The Oronte. What tattoo was it again?
Sorry?
What tattoo was it that you got on the Oronte?
That one. The swallow.
So tell me the story about getting that tattoo.
So after having a few drinks, we walked past the shop, which was a tattoo. No, we went into a bar, and at the back of the bar was the tattoo's place.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, you know, another little room where he was doing it all. But his one there was done completely by hand, by the speed of his fingers.
What, with like a stick?
Yeah.
Like a stick and poke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Did it hurt more because it was a stick and poke or less?
Yes, it did, I must admit. And it bled more. And then when we come back, and we, of course, they were using the boats to bring us back to the ship. We had no passengers. It was either all the crew or all the passengers. And as we come back, one of the blokes said, "You're losing a bit of blood, mate." So, I mean, I didn't know him. So I said, yeah, I've had a tattoo done. So you stick it over the side and get some salt water on it. It'll cure it quicker. And I did that until I got back to the ship, which was, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Never thinking what might be in the water.
Did you not infect your arm by putting it in there?
No, it didn't. Actually, it didn't. I had no
You're lucky,
problems.
I think.
Yeah, I probably was lucky.
Were you nervous to get your first tattoo?
Was I nervous? No, never thought of it. Never thought of nerves at all at that time.
But you were a bit of a reckless kid then, is that what you're saying?
I've never really been nervous about too many things in my life, no.
Why do you think that is?
The possibility come from the stem that, as you know, I lost my mother died when I was 6, just over 6 years old, and I had to look after myself from a very young age, and I think that's shown all the way through my life.
Becoming an independent person from very young.
Yeah.
Is that why maybe you've wanted to join the Navy, to become part of a family kind of thing?
Yes, possibly so, because all the people, and this area was very much in London, was like Liverpool and probably Newcastle, were very sea-going orientated. It was part of the life then.
Just like my dad with his Arsenal tattoo, my granddad had a tattoo that showed he belonged to a group of people. This one felt deeper though. He joined the Navy finding himself with a family that he'd never had before. People he could identify with and relate to, making this period in his life permanent by inking it on his skin.
When you look at the tattoo that you got in the Navy, does it remind you of these fond times? Like when you look at it every day, I don't know if you,
Yes,
you do.
it does actually. Yes, I'll get something out of it. And perhaps one of the things is, would I like to go back and see what's there now, if anything?
What, in the old tattoo place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I doubt.
How comes you didn't get another tattoo, like once you left the Navy?
Perhaps the fact that I've left the Navy. Yeah, it never entered my head after that. Perhaps I didn't realise at the time that I thought I had to have it because I was in it. But you don't realise that those things at that time, do you?
Speaking to my granddad got me thinking about the psychology of getting a tattoo. Why do we get them? What is the point in all this? I met with psychology lecturer and body art specialist Viren Swami to find out what happens in someone's mind when they decide to get a tattoo.
I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff is probably intuitive. I mean, most people probably know this. They just, what I'm trying to do is just kind of formalize it empirically, kind of telling people, yeah, what you think is probably correct a lot of the time. There was an old study, this was in the 1960s, and this is the kind of attitude towards how researchers thought about tattooing back in the 1960s. It was basically this guy came along and said, you know what, people who get tattoos are really aggressive. They're aggressive people. And they may very well have been in the 1960s. I mean, if you think about the 1960s culture, people getting tattooed in the West probably were more aggressive than people who were not getting tattooed. But those kind of ideas linger and they remain and they stay and they affect how we relate to other people. I mean, if you think about it, if you have an implicit idea, even if you're not aware of it, you think all people who have tattoos are aggressive, I must stay away from them. It means you're limiting yourself in terms of social interactions with other people, especially if so many people in society now have at least one tattoo, and particularly if people have visible tattoos. I don't like it though when people still make an implicit judgment about people that all people who have tattoos are shitty or they're aggressive or they're risk takers or they're more likely to take drugs, all of which has been debunked now. There's no evidence to suggest now in today's culture that people who have tattoos are any of those things, more so than people who have no tattoos. And so a lot of my research is kind of aimed at kind of debunking these ideas, showing that actually there are benefits to getting tattoos, and it helps improve people's body image. It helps them feel like a sense of uniqueness, particularly in a culture that tells us you're not unique, you're just one of millions of people around the world. It helps people feel more connected to their bodies. It helps people feel like they're inhabiting their bodies in some way. For some people, it helps make sense of trauma. It helps make sense of what they've experienced in life. So all kinds of benefits to tattooing. And I think the more we vilify and the more we kind of assume these kind of negative stereotypical content, we're not allowing tattooing to perform the best function it can for society.
How tightly are tattoo and identity linked then?
So there are two theories. One is called the self-expression, or essentially it's based on self-expression. You're trying to express something about your identity, and often that aspect of it is a uniqueness about who you are. So tattoos offer a way to essentially express an individuality that no one else is going to have the same tattoo as you. When I thought about my first tattoo, someone else has got my first tattoo because I've copied someone else. But my other tattoos are unique to me. No one else in the world is going to have a similar tattoo. Probably unlikely to have even something closely resembling my tattoos. But it also, the content of those tattoos tells other people something about who I am. It tells you about what I would like you to know about me. The other kind of theory here is that it's not so much about expressing an individuality, it's about showing off kind of a sort of a cultural affiliation. You're identifying with a particular group in society and saying, this is I am part of this group, and you know this because I have a tattoo that links me to that group. Now, for example, some theories have linked this in the UK with expression of working classism. So an idea that there are particular tattoos that would associate you with being from a particular class. or from a particular other forms of social identity. And there are other ways you can express identity and express social class affiliation. For example, lots of survivors of domestic abuse, of trauma, will have very particular tattoos that they might get to symbolize that. There you're kind of blurring the boundaries between expression and affiliation, because you're not just expressing something that you've experienced, you're also saying I'm part of this broader group that has experienced the same thing.
Talking to Viren, I realised I had to go deeper. Just like life, tattoos aren't always positive. When reflecting someone's personality, there'll always be those dark corners that most avoid. I had to go there. I reached out on social media and found Terry, a man whose attempted suicide resulted in months spent in prison. He got a tattoo to remind himself of that period, and I went to meet him.
Should be meeting him now. He said he's at the car park. You alright, mate? Terence, right? Yeah, nice. Ryan.
Terry,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I thought what I've discovered now is I've always actually had depression, but never noticed it. I've just always just classified myself as just being a bit of a grumpy bastard. But I know loads of grumpy bastards, and they do quite well for themselves. They're all actually happy. But I used to come home from work, and I could walk through the door. I'd have one kid on the PlayStation, another kid on the tablet. My missus is doing something in the kitchen or on the phone, and the only person that would notice I'd come home for like an hour would be the dog. I don't really know, I just felt so empty, and I felt like I'd lost control of everything. Just had enough, felt like I couldn't do it anymore. So just decided, like one Sunday afternoon, I was gonna take myself. Me and my missus had a little bit of a row, like nothing major, nothing sort of out of the ordinary. But yeah, it was just sort of enough to like believe that I didn't want to be here anymore. And so I got a backpack, and it's a bit foggy. I don't really. I remember details, but it's as if like I didn't have control anymore. My body just took over. I got my backpack, got like a bottle of vodka with about half of it in there, all the pills out the cupboard, paracetamol, cold and flu, all that. Knowing that nothing was really I didn't have anything to do any damage. To be honest, might make myself a bit ill, but and where I used to do landscaping, I did a bit of pest control as well, popping off rabbits, and I had a sawn-off air rifle. So I thought that'd be a good idea, chucked it in there with some pellets. But I'd never heard of anybody committing suicide with an air rifle.
Yeah.
And I had this little thing that is essentially a flare. I used to use it for moles, so I could lob it down a mole hole, lob it down a mole hole. Smoke comes out, so I can know where all the holes are, can mesh them up. The pellets will do a bit of damage, hopefully, to whatever mole's in there, and then it just dies, and it alleviates my problem.
Terry went on to tell me, while walking, contemplating his suicide, he changed his mind, returning home. Unfortunately, he returned to the police at his house, who arrested him for what he had in his bag. In some weird, twisted turn of pathetic fallacy, it started to rain, and we got in his car.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock to the system. It really is.
How did you spend that? How long did you spend that? So?
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, yeah. And
Why was it so long?
because of the little bomb thing I had, they had to investigate it.
Yeah.
They had to get the bomb squad to go and let it off, to investigate, see how much damage it would do before they could charge me with anything. So I was the amount of charges. Honestly, you'd think I was a terrorist by the end of it.
Do you think, in hindsight, it would have been a big enough explosion to harm like the public kind of thing if you were to set it off in like the library or something?
No. By the end of it, the bomb squad, the bloke that like investigated it, that dragged his ass and took his time, he said it wouldn't have even it hurt me, but it wouldn't have even killed me. It had done some superficial damage, and that was about it. So in the end, I got charged with possession of gunpowder in a public place.
I was already captivated by his story, but wanted to take it one step further. Terry offered to drive me along the path he walked that dark day, and I accepted.
Yeah, so I'd had the argument and kind of exploded a little bit. By the time I got to here, I'd already cut my arms open and I was bleeding all the way down the road. I was not in a good state, not at all. To be honest, if anybody, the amount of police cars and shit that went past, and I thought, well, surely somebody's got to notice in a minute that I didn't want anybody to stop me, but I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's points where they even sort of wandered into the road and people just drove around me, so it didn't give me abuse. Fuck you too. By the time I'd got to there, I just wanted to get away from everybody and as far away from anything. So I took myself down this lovely, quiet country lane. Well, it's dead at like 5 o'clock on a Sunday anyway.
At what point did your head start to clear?
I believe it was there. I'm just going to put a label there. It was, like I said, I'm as far away from everybody as I could possibly think to be. I'm sat there in the concrete pipe, staring out like over this quarry. Yeah, so I sit there and I'll roll myself a spliff, and I'll sit there and I'll just. That's when it clicked that I can't do this. I've got kids. Realise it's a bit of a stupid idea. Feel like a complete knob by that point, so it's more embarrassment than anything. And then as I'm walking home, it's like I've clocked the helicopter, like going like backwards and forwards on over the train track, and that's when I started getting a little bit of a funny feeling. I suppose a little bit of hopeful feeling as well that maybe somebody's looking for me.
Would you mind if we got out here?
Yeah, no, that's fine, mate.
Have you been back here before?
I've been down the road, never really stopped.
Now you're here, what do you feel?
Disappointment in myself, more than anything. Still feel a bit embarrassed by it all. If I could go back, as I said, dump the backpack in a bush and then go home.
Yeah.
And then it might have gone differently. And yeah, and then it just got worse. The depression got worse. Tried to kill myself several times. Like more successful attempts. Been hospitalised twice. Self-harming. Scars that are, embarrassing, quite frankly. I couldn't handle it. Anytime something upset me, and I couldn't handle just couldn't handle it. I'd take the frustration out on myself, so I just cut myself. Started doing like tattoos, like dot work, hand poke tattoos sort of thing, as a way of like trying to stop the self-harm. So the first ones I did was like my missus and the kids' names under there. Now like, everything's opening up again. I've got a mate that's done a tattoo apprenticeship, so I'll go and see him now, get them done at a cheaper apprentice rate as well. He gets to practice, and I'll still get that pain. So the pain's still there. This is what it is. It's a craving for the pain, which is really odd. I don't know how to describe it, to be honest. It's just an urge to inflict pain upon myself because I disappoint myself and I hate myself sometimes, or most of the time.
What other tattoos have you got?
That's my prison one. My missus designed that while I was in prison. She put it on the. She sent it to me, as a little tattoo idea, which was never supposed to really pan out. But yeah, it did. So that's my prison number, because once you've got a prison number, it's always your prison number. So if I'm ever arrested again, I'll have the same prison number. And then because I was held for the explosive bit, I got it on a bomb. And then it's there so I can just remind myself that if I'm a dickhead, I'll end up back. It's simple as that. If I'm a dick, I'll end up getting banged up again, because once you're a criminal, you're always a criminal, apparently.
What's the semicolon?
Oh yeah, sorry. I've got that done as well. It's a semicolon's a suicide awareness. It's a literary term for, it means my story's not done yet. I've still got more to write. So I've got to carry on going.
The way Terry spoke about his tattoos ticked almost every box Viren had told me about. The bomb tattoo seemed like a way for him to process the traumatic experience he'd had, including his prison number, something extremely personal to him. Then the semicolon tattoo, a tattoo common within the mental health community, showing he's part of a wider group of people, reminding himself that he is not alone in this. I've learned a lot while making this documentary, exploring the culture, psychology and trauma tattoos can hold. I feel like I'm ready to take the leap for myself now. I booked in with Alan at Black Hope Tattoo to finally put him to skin.
Here we go, you ready? Here we go. How's that?
It's a lot less than I thought it was going to be.
I mean, it's really, not that bad at all.
What is your favourite tattoo?
Oh, what, on me? I got like a really cool black and grey piece on the inside of my thigh by one of my friends. That's really cool. It's like a woman's face that kind of dissolves off into like mist and stuff.
Yeah.
My back piece is really cool. This is a giant traditional devil's head. Yeah, I don't know really. Like,
Yeah.
they're all cool in their own way, even if they're not like the best done. It's normally who did it or when you got it done.
Yeah. It's a moment in time.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's when you insert like a cheesy like speech bubble, like it's a permanent memory. You're dummy.
Lovely jubbly.
There you go. Nice.
Thank you very much.
Feel free to hop. Obviously, not too quick, you don't want to get a head rush. Check it out in the mirror, and then I'll run through the aftercare and everything.
Okay, sure. Moment of memory. Documentary over.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No worries, mate. You're all good.
When I first embarked on this journey, I wasn't sure what I was going to discover. What I found was the meaning within tattoos, something I've fallen in love with. One way you can express yourself or associate with a group of people. A way for people to let their identity leak out of their soul onto their skin. This is an experience I'll never forget, inspiring me to get covered in tattoos. So what better way to start this new journey I'll be sailing off on, than getting the name of the last voyage on my skin.